fault. It was not me.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's all good.
Let's try again.
I am.
You want to come around here? Alright, now we'll get started. Sorry. Knock you out there.
They know where you're going.
We ready? Go ahead and call the USD 49 Board of Education meeting for Monday, September 25th to order. First item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda.
I would make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Been moved by Board Member O'Borney.
Second.
Seconded by Board Member Lang. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Next item on the agenda is audience participation. Not everybody at once. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the next item, which is our Best of the Best Awards. The Best of the Best Awards are designed to recognize those students or staff that go above and beyond in their day-to-day activities. They truly are exemplary in every way. The winners will receive a limestone plaque as well as a gift certificate to either Pasta J's or Gella's Diner. The winners are nominated by their peers. Our Student Best of the Best Award winner this month is Wyatt Kirkpatrick. Wyatt was nominated by Monica Dreiling, and I believe she is here. Am I reading that correctly, Sarah? She's here. Okay. To say a few words. So, right in front of me.
Wyatt Kirkpatrick comes to school each day with a cheerful attitude and is always willing to learn. He is respectful to adults and peers, listens and follows directions, and is honest. Wyatt actively participates in class and is a self-motivated learner. He sets high goals for himself and is willing to ask for help when he needs it. He frequently assists other students in the classroom and gives them encouragement. I am excited to have Wyatt in my classroom. I know he will be a role model for his peers this school year and in the future. Congratulations.
What's that? I appreciate that. Thanks, yeah. Get some, got to.
Congratulations, Wyatt.
Okay, and our Staff Best of the Best Award winner this month is Craig Pallister. Craig was nominated by Jerry Brown, and I believe he is here also to say a few words.
I will keep true to my promise to my principal that I will keep this very brief. But I did want to say that any one of us as staff members at Hayes Middle School could have nominated Craig for this award, and I just happen to be the lucky one to get to do it. As some of you on the board know, Craig has been my boss not once, not twice, but 3 times. This district has hired me, and he has been my principal each of those times. And I can say that it is a lot because of him that I keep wanting to come back. I have had many bosses now, and he's the best I've ever had, mostly because he doesn't get in our way. He lets us do our job, he supports us, and he gives us the resources we need. He tells us every day from day one that working with students is about caring, compassion, and connections. And Craig Pallister is a person who practices what he preaches. So, thanks, Craig.
Can I say just a couple of words? You know, this is not really my thing, being recognized for this, because it's part of the job, my job that I've started here in this district 25 years ago, moving in, and there's so many people that I really appreciate Jerry, our staff, everybody, and you know, being here this long, there's too many people to thank. But I'll try to do as good a job as I can in a short amount of time, because I told Jerry to be short, and here I'm going to take longer. You know, in the last 25 years, I want to say a thank you to Fred Kaufman, Will Roth, Mark Hoffman, Dean, John, Shanna, all the central administration that have been here since I was lucky enough to come to Hayes when my oldest daughter was starting kindergarten. And now she has her master's degree and is in earning a living on her own now. So we go that. Assistant principals, I have been blessed, like Shauna at this time, and Shanna sitting over here, and several others that kept leaving me as I stayed at the middle school. You know, since I found this out last week, I've had a big pit in my stomach. It has not been a good weekend for me. It should have been, but you know, I felt like I should have had teachers, paras, secretaries, cooks, custodians, bus drivers, nurses, counselors, school psychs, all up here instead of me. So I apologize to them, and I went in this weekend and put in about a dozen nominations. People that I really feel strongly. So again, thank you.
Congratulations.
And I have one comment to make with Craig, because Craig, there is a characteristic that we love to have leaders have, and none have it probably more than you in all the years that I've been working in schools, and that's humility. And we are very fortunate to end up having you care for your staff the way you do. But I think your staff understand what the purpose was tonight of you getting this award. So thank you very much.
And thanks again to our sponsors, and also, again, congratulations to Wyatt and Craig. So, next item on the agenda is our communications from other organizations. And it looks like we just have foundation minutes and Hayes Rec meeting agendas. So, moving on to the next item is school spotlights. I believe,
The spotlights are really excellent tonight because we end up having the spotlights, those individuals present, so they can end up sharing a little bit more detail. First is really Lincoln 5th grade teacher Monica Dreiling for her work in getting a grant of $3,000 from Westar Energy. I can certainly talk on that, but Monica, could you please, since you know it better than anybody, of stepping forward and describing what you were able to receive?
Sure. So a little bit of the background of the grant is up in the spotlights, but the actual activities that we'll do will include making pencil box alarm circuits, solar cookers, hot air balloons, a penny pull that you do with beetles. If you've never seen that, look that up on YouTube. It's kind of entertaining. Electric boats to race in water. And then the kids will design holiday trees made from circuits that'll get displayed in the assisted living rooms. Then the global challenges that we will do will explore alternatives to fossil fuels by using solar cells. The kids will create a 7-inch house and a solar panel system that will collect and store and use solar energy. We'll create and build a working solar still to desalinate water to address water shortage challenges. And then we'll build and test a working oil containment boom to clean up an oil spill. And then they'll do other research about famous inventors, for example, Alexander Graham Bell, and they'll design a mini working telephone system, Thomas Edison, and a working motion picture viewer so they can enjoy film strips together. So the main point of the grant was just to have a way for my 5th graders to connect with people in the community and for the older generation to see what we're doing in schools. So.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Also had the pleasure of Candace Sage from Wilson, 2nd grade teacher. She ended up having a grant from Scholastic for $500. And again, since you're here, if you wouldn't mind coming forward, and you know it better than I, of describing what you received.
Yes, I did receive $500 cash into my Scholastic account, and I just really think I have to thank the parents in the past that have ordered books on Scholastic from my classroom to get my name out there, because there was like 82,000 applicants for this grant, and I was one of the lucky ones. So I do appreciate them in ordering books, and we, as a class, picked out books today, and so we're going to push that button tomorrow and wait for that big box to come. So we're excited for all the new books to put in our classroom library, which is very beneficial with a new reading series that we use with all the kids having to have 4 or 5, 6 books in their book bins at all times. So we're really excited to get this new box of books. So looking forward to it next week.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We need to end up having congratulations to one of our high school sophomores, Allison Hildebrand, for having her work featured in the Hayes Post on September 15th. She currently writes for the newspaper, the high school newspaper, and submitted her story on the role that social media plays in the hiring process. Hayes High School hosted a job fair the second week in September to educate students on the interviewing and hiring process. So we're very proud of Allison for that. Also ended up having a teacher, O'Laughlin teacher, and also librarian, Christy O'Gorney. She's going to serve on the Professional Standards Board. She was chosen as a teacher in public elementary education to serve on the Professional Standards Board. Christy was chosen by Kansas State Board of Education to serve in this capacity for the 2017-18 school year. So very proud of Christy for that. We end up having the girls golf do exceedingly well. We end up having, they secured 2nd place at the South Salina Invitational. They ended up taking 2nd place at the Salina South Invitational, had a combined team score of 292 strokes. They were 2nd to Manhattan, and they had 284 strokes. We ended up having senior Carrie Dinkle had an overall best individual performance with 59 strokes. She edged out the 2nd place golfer from Salina Central by just a single stroke. And then we have junior Emily McGuire tied for 9th overall with 72 strokes. I understand only 14 holes were played through the Invitational because of bad weather. If anybody was looking at the numbers thinking, my gosh, that's fantastic.
I did.
Which it really is good, but
Jealous.
We end up having, I think Monique is here, Excellent. Monique is here to speak on the Early Childhood Connections receiving Breastfeeding Employees Support Award. If you could speak on that, that'd be great.
Yes, so Early Childhood Connections applied for this grant through the Business Case for Breastfeeding and the Kansas Breastfeeding Coalition. Donna has always been very supportive of our employees that breastfeed, and so I went to her and asked her if I could go ahead and apply for this award. Basically, we just had to put some things in writing and do a couple of other things, and so we sent this off, and we received the Gold Award, which is the best award. There's a gold, a silver, and a bronze. So we just got this last week, but Donna's been supportive of breastfeeding since for a long time now. So it's nice to be recognized for something that we've already been doing. And I would encourage the school district to take a look at this policy and be innovative and forward-thinking, especially as we're thinking about a possible bond getting passed and including lactation rooms in our other schools, especially if there are new ones that happen to get built. And me or Brenda Bandy with the Kansas Breastfeeding Coalition would be happy to work with any of the other principals that would be interested in supporting their employees to breastfeed. There's lots of health benefits for mothers and babies, and so I would encourage any of the principals that are interested in pursuing this to contact either me or Brenda and possibly submit for one of these awards as well.
You're good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, which is the report of the superintendent.
I had the honor and really privilege to go to Topeka last week, and there was a committee that's been put together where we meet with the education commissioner on different topics. A couple of the topics that we had talked about last week that I feel needs to be shared, should be shared throughout the state is one of the great concerns of how do we end up at every community try to end up establishing more of a understanding of the benefits of encouraging teachers as an occupation, being a teacher as an occupation. The numbers are still down in colleges as far as how many are in the educational field, and the education commissioner, Dr. Watson, is greatly concerned that we need to end up trying to help our own destiny and trying to get those numbers built. Best of the Best Awards is a wonderful way. You identify, give some recognition, but there's got to be other ways as well, and he's challenging different communities to think of different ways to encourage that. And at this particular point, there's been a few ideas already shared with me coming back and talking to other staff, other leaders in the district. Hopefully we can develop those and we can display those in the near future. But yeah, it really is one of those items that Hayes has been extremely fortunate having Fort Hays State University right here supplying us a number of teachers for years. But we would actually be able to identify that in the last couple, the numbers are not as they used to be. And our selection process, whenever there are openings, is definitely fewer than what we've had in the past. So very good point for us to end up working on. Another one that I wanted to point out, a great concern, and I never got these passed out, if you pass them down to board members so they can see. It's been an item the last several years as far as points being made as far as cash balances and the carryover that exists in different districts, to the point that there's been some great criticism from legislators as to how much money exists in what they would say the coffers of individual school districts. What they're identifying is we end up having at the beginning of every year the need to carry over money. That money that's carried over is to pay for a number of items, things that have to be paid for, even salaries at the front end of a school year. The largest amount, and I don't think most people even understand that largest first check doesn't come till really even November. So for anybody to say we should pay down and then be zeroed out at the end of the school year is not something that can work. We have to have money to start the year out. And we have to have that for salaries for actually several months. But the point is made that there's some districts that end up having a tremendous amount of carryover. Cash balance percentages is being shared with us as far as document just to see what the range is. Within the state of Kansas, the range can be anywhere from 67.8% to 0.9%. So the range is tremendous. And now I need to read this off so everybody understands that it excludes supplemental general. Okay, so that's not in there. Bond and interest is not in there. Capital outlay, not in there. Food service, not in there. Gifts and grants, special reserve, no fund warrants, federal funds, special assessments, activity funds, and adult education funds are not in there. So it's important that some of those are very significant in some districts, but that's not part of this. What is part of this is, and why this is significant to us and why I wish to bring it up at this particular point, is that whereas there's quite a number of districts, probably out of 7 pages, the first 2 need to end up decreasing the amount they have. In our particular case, wish to point out that although much work has been done in the last 3-4 years of trying to end up developing a healthy budget for this district, it's important for all to recognize that we are at 4.6. 4.6% is what's carried over, which just as 60% is too much, 4.6 is too little. The recommended amount is around 14 or 15%. And so for anybody to realize that although we are much better off than we were 3 or 4 years ago, we are still in a mode of trying to end up having a healthy, what is considered a healthy amount of money that's carried over, at the end of the year going into the next year, so that we can end up managing with comfort level if there was any kind of dire situations that may occur in our district. I'd open it up to questions for the board if anybody has that. It's interesting to see where I think it's 11th from the bottom. Now, 4 years ago, we were at the bottom. There's no question. We were at the bottom. And to be at 4.6 is actually good. But we should be trying to build that up to be over 10.
Have a ways to go.
We should be. The other item, if no questions, I want to talk briefly about the bond, the work for it. Just a matter that we're in the last week of September. We do have an election, which is going to be November 7th, and the bond project is one that ends up having an effect on preschool programming clear through elementary, middle school, high school, to even the adult learners. We end up having many different presentations that have been made. We end up having still intend on that, of making those presentations for information so that there's as much understanding about the bond. I would say that the one message that is more important than any at this point is just a matter of the preparation to vote. And we would like the majority of the public in Hayes to vote on November 7th. That's probably the greatest message to share at this particular point.
Just one comment. I do want to compliment the district on being sure that information is being made available to the public. I've got mailers at home, and I was in the schools today and seeing everything out there. So compliments give me information, so I encourage anybody that is in the public to take advantage of that, look at it, and make their own individual decision, because it is factual information, not an opinion piece that may be somewhere.
Very good. Well said, Paul. Anything else, John? Okay. Moving on to the next item on the agenda is the financial report. I don't believe Tracy is with us this evening, so.
Yeah, unfortunately, really unfortunate that this last weekend tragedy occurred in her family. Her stepmom had passed away, and so really she has the financials for you to look over. There was a couple points she wanted me to make in case you noticed it or did not. It's just a matter that we end up having, at the first report of a new fiscal year, there's always some coding changes. And if you notice that, there's several in the early childhood program. The locations would be 52 to 65. Donna needed to have salaries and supplies coded differently than last year, and so that made some of those changes. As the grants change, Donna's going to have to make some adjustments from one year to the next. But just an awareness that that's the explanation as to why that's the case. The other exception really wanted to point out has to do for the transportation center. We did end up having, I think everybody knew this, but you may have noticed this on it, was we did have hail damage on several vehicles, and that's where that came from. They were repaired and paid the invoice last month, so it shows over budget because of that. I think that's just important.
Which looks like we'll be reimbursed by the insurance company, though. Yeah. Very good. Any other questions on the financial report? Seeing none, we'll move on to the next item, which is the consent agenda, to include the board meeting minutes for September 11th, 2017, the special board meeting minutes for September 15th, 2017, the approval of bills in the amount of $500,576.79, personnel transactions, and financial reports to include the petty cash report. I would entertain a motion to approve that.
I would make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Been moved by Board Member Oborny. Seconded by Board Member Fox. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Moving on to new business, and first item there is the Tigers in Service project. And do we have some rep? Yep, we do.
Good evening.
You.
My name is Jeanette Mice, and I'm with Fort Hays State University Alumni Association. And I'll let you introduce yourself.
I'm Kaylee Klaus. I'm a faculty advisor for the Tigers in Service group in the Center for Civic Leadership.
Okay, well, we're here to talk to you today about the Tiger Make a Difference project. The Alumni Association was looking for an opportunity to engage Fort Hays alums and friends near and far in community service, and there's two parts. One part is just to get our alums in other parts of the world to submit pictures and interactions that they may have in their own communities through community service, and to share that with us through social media so that we can then share that with our alums too, to show our Tigers are still active even after leaving the university. The second part of the project was to do something locally, and we chose USD 489's Hope Pantry as our local community project. And so part of that project was to join with some other organizations, Tigers in Service on campus, Golden Belt Bank, Fort Hays Athletics, and Student Government Association. So all of us have kind of come together to promote making a difference in our community and in other communities. And this kind of stemmed from the idea of the Make a Difference Day, which some of you may be familiar with, which is October 28th, and that day was set to encourage everyone to do community service in their areas. And so we took this as an opportunity to be involved with that day also. And because of that day, there just happens to be a Fort Hays football game on October 28th. And so we took this as an opportunity to collect items for the Hope Pantry. We are encouraging anyone who attends the football game to bring a pantry item, new clothing, hygiene items, to bring that to the game. And as an incentive, you get an opportunity to win a prize. And Golden Belt Bank is a sponsor of the football game, and so they're also sponsoring the prize, which is a 2018 tailgate spot for the football games next year for Fort Hays, and along with all the goodies that you need to have a good tailgate. So we encourage everyone to come out and be a part of that event, bringing an item. If you're unable to attend the football game, we will have collection sites in 3 different locations, Golden Belt Bank, in the Memorial Union on campus, and also at the Robbins Center where the Alumni Association is located. Did you have anything you wanted to?
And again, if you're unable to come to the game, we will be collecting for a 3-week period, so from October 16th to November 3rd. So even if the game is the first time people hear about it, they'll still have some time to donate a few items. But in speaking with Sarah Wassinger, this pantry is new and kind of still up and coming, so we're excited to be able to kind of give back to the community who's given so much to Fort Hays already.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very good. Next item on the agenda is the district star rooms, and I think we have some representatives here with the district to go over that for us as well.
Good evening. I'm Paul Rice. I'm the new principal at Roosevelt. Back in July, I heard Mr. Thisson tell you guys that it was a hope of his to have the schools come out and start kind of showcasing some of the good things actually going on in the buildings. We wanted to take full advantage of that, and this is the first of many installments for Roosevelt and the first of many installments for our STAR program. I'm not going to talk very long, but I want to give you a little bit of background information. Many of you know that this is a program that serves children with multiple disabilities, severe autism disorder, real high needs kids, some high incidence, some low incidence kids, but they just cannot function in the general ed classroom without some really intensive support. Some of them are not ready to function in the general ed classroom at all yet, but it is the mission of this district to make sure that every child is getting what he or she needs to learn in every classroom every day. And that's some of the great stuff that's going on. I brought with me Lindy McDaniel and Tasha Lang. These are our 2 teachers over at Roosevelt. The program is divided. We have academic supports at Wilson, currently have 6 students, and you'll get more on them later through the year. But over at Roosevelt, we have 21 students that are focusing on daily life skills. That's their primary goal. Some academics, things like that. It is the higher needs program. We have 21 students, 13 adults, and it sounds wonderful because we have this beautiful 3-classroom kind of STAR complex, as we lovingly call it. It's a gorgeous facility, and it I think is meeting their needs for right now. But the background information I wanted to give you as you go into listening to these ladies talk about their program is it's important to remember that with these kiddos, it's not uncommon for one of them to have the social and spatial issues of 10 of their gen ed peers. So as you're thinking about 3 classrooms for 21 kids, that sounds pretty good, but they have a much higher need. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Lindy and Tasha.
Thanks, Paula. As we want to share, before we even get into anything, I think the kids can tell it best. So we are going to share a video the kids put together, a tour of the STAR classroom. Just so you're aware, STAR stands for Strategic Teaching with Adaptations and Reinforcement. And the reason for that is because we want our district and our co-op to realize the needs that are being met with these kids. It's not just your typical classroom, there's a lot of other things going on within the classroom.
Can you start it over?
This is where we put our book bags in our stuffing, and this is about it will be 90%, and the lower being 659. Each show their shoulders. chocolate.
This is where we work.
This is where we play. And this is where
This is where we do reading. Very good.
This is where we do iPad and computers. This is where we do math.
Skills. This is where we practice skills. Yeah.
Sometimes we play things and we do things.
Do it hard.
This is where the little kids read their books and learn about ABCs.
This is what
Right up.
I love courage and setting. Good job. You want to sing a song? You want to sing Itsy Bitsy Spider? Wait, that high? That's up. Open. Paper, what do you paper? You're breaking it, you're shredding it. That's thank you. Show me horse. Good reading.
Very cool.
All right, so we're really excited to share that. It almost makes us tear up. It's been 27 days and we've made a lot of progress. When we came to Raj last school year and kind of proposed that we build this structured learning program for these K-5 kids, I'm pretty sure we were not sure what we signed up for. But as we moved forward, it's amazing how much these kids have become and that they feel part of something. In the past, you know, these aren't kids that typically go to Hayes Rec Soccer or Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts. And so they can now be a part of the Shining Stars. And the impact it's had on our gen ed population has been pretty amazing. We do plan to share this video and other videos with our gen ed classroom and our kids so that they understand that these kids can learn too. And I know it looks like small gains when you see a little kid write I can and then scribble right, but it's huge. He's sitting, he's complying, he's participating. Our little girl, sorry that the glitch is in the video, but our little girl, this year is the first time she's ever communicated communicated to a functional level. She's using a LAMP program. It's pretty amazing to see her motor plan and communicate. When we started this school year, there were lots of screams and lots of scratches, as you can tell on my arms, but those are getting less and less because she's communicating. It's pretty amazing. So.
I think that the 27 days tells it all. I know today, Lindy and I, at the end of the day, we were like, oh my gosh, what have we done? Like, we haven't even made any progress. And then you look at that video, and we've made so much progress in the 27 days. It's the little steps, and we always have to tell ourselves it's the little steps. These kids aren't going to just shine overnight. We have to help them shine throughout a whole year. And so when we're going forward with any type of idea for our classrooms, we have to understand what they need, because we have taken out all our closets and we've made them into break rooms. So all of our shelves now are like up really high so the kids can't get them, and they're covered with curtains, but because they need that, that's what they need. I know last year we took out a cabinet just so that they could have that dark space to help self-regulate themselves and get those sensory needs. They're amazing students. We have amazing staff. So I invite all you guys, anytime you guys want to stop by, come in and join the fun. It gets a little crazy. Bandy Fox has been with us, so I don't know if you want to chime in about what you've done with us.
Sure. So 2 years ago, I went to Tasha's class at Wilson, and as a comparison to what you guys have now, the luxury of them having those 3 classrooms. I do adaptive yoga for their students, and everyone starts out in the room. Some people can make it 5 minutes, some people can make it the whole time, but them having the ability to move to a different classroom, to a different activity, to go out or come back in if they're ready is great. And Tasha is so proud. She gave me a tour, and I really do encourage you guys to go. Those kids are all really special. I saw the little girl that you saw with the communication, saw her this weekend at a soccer game. She had a red hat, I had a red hat. She came up and touched my hat, I touched her hat. They're really great, and these their whole classroom, they just work their tails off. I walked in, I was like, it's freezing in here, and Tasha's like, no.
Yeah, it gets a little warm.
So it is it's an amazing program that they have, and I really do, you should go see the space that they've built. So.
Yeah. That's awesome. And just a little disclaimer, the video that you saw was 4 minutes. It was taken over like a week's time, so nothing looks that beautiful on a daily basis. It is a work in progress, and that's where, you know, the upcoming bond issue is a huge thing for our kids and our families, and we're able to share that video. All of our families signed a waiver to say, yes, we want you to share the classroom with the board. And so just being able to share the needs of our kids and how we can support them. I know, as all of you guys know, the rate of children with autism has went up significantly in the last couple of years, and that changes the needs for our buildings and our classrooms significantly. So,
And in the video, you saw one of our students. We do a lot of assembly tasks. You all get to go home with the water bottles that he put together for you. So it was great. At first, he did not like the task, but of course, repetition, he's assembling them without any visuals or anything like that. So,
While they're passing that out, I want to really sing the praises of the Roosevelt staff in general. Adding a program of this magnitude, just of gen ed programming, takes a huge significant toll on the culture and the climate of the building, let alone adding a program of this size and magnitude of children with such high needs. And the staff have completely embraced the kids. They've completely embraced the program. It is fusing seamlessly within our building, and the things that are coming down the road are going to be amazing. But while I'm at it, I want to sing the praise of not only these two, but Kim over at Wilson, who couldn't be with us tonight. These ladies, as educators, we all work really hard all of the time. Sorry. These ladies really impress me. They're up usually until midnight or 1 o'clock redoing the schedules for every one of their students every single day. And they're in the office at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, printing them out, getting them ready to go every single day. They rarely take lunches. They rarely take breaks. It's nonstop from the time those kids get there until they leave, and even then they're not done. They do it because they love these kids, because they know they can gain, and like they said, in just the 27 days, being able to see the one young lady go from literally screaming and sitting down in the hall every 5 minutes to walking all the way from their end of the building to come into the office. She tells all of us good morning. She communicates, and she flips through that book faster than you can say go to find the specific words to be able to communicate. They've made such huge, huge gains, but they are very dedicated, very wonderful people, and we are so lucky to have them.
Thank you very much.
We'd also like to thank Raj. He's been a great instrument in making this change for our district. So thank you guys.
Thanks.
Thanks, Rod. Thank you. Thank you, guys. That's awesome. Might hurt myself. Next item on the agenda is the superintendent evaluation process.
The one evaluation that the board needs to do is a bit different this year. Last year, you had decided to use the expectations that were based upon my new hire. You know, that process, it worked fine last year, but a bit inappropriate probably for this year. I also know that from past conversation, there was little desire to use KSBs or use well, several others that you have in the past, and because of that, thought perhaps a similar, ended up sharing with you Gary Sechrist was in the office last week, and in that conversation, he had stated that he did end up having, he knew of another district that was doing, and actually that's not, it was the past Derby superintendent, and he was present with him. Now I can't think of his name, but he was, Craig, he was there, and he ended up saying that they based their evaluation on him the last years, specifically on the goals. You know, what were the goals of the district? In this particular case, you can see they went ahead and put together a little bit of a draft that you could work from, identifying the different goals at this point. They just identified the 5 different goals and had a rating system. You could put that more of identifying how it's broken down underneath the goals as well. I mean, they did not do that, but you could get more specific of stronger professional development, or basically recruit and retain teachers. You know, the different items there and what you think the ratings are of the subgroups there as well. But wanted to share this with you early on so you can look it over, make a decision how you wish to go ahead and go forward this, because my evaluation is one of those that when we only have meetings, I say only, every other week, and we still need to end up having this decided on how you're going to go ahead and move forward to evaluate this year. There needs to be 2 evaluations that's done. So I guess I would end up asking your thoughts with this being shared. It's the first time you've seen it. Have no opposition to you reconsidering KSB's document or any of the others as well. I just know that you had shared a little bit of dissatisfaction in how they were designed in the past. So, any of your thoughts at this point?
I would definitely be open to looking at some of these other ones.
Now
Absolutely.
again, I would strongly suggest you continue what you did last year of gathering information of this going out to other individuals in the district. Not that they're evaluating me, but you're using their thoughts and observations as well to help you make, help you fill out the evaluation.
I think you kind of said it, and I would agree. If we're going to do it like the rating on the top, I would almost want it for each of the sub-points underneath.
I think
so
some,
much of these goals are just have so many.
Definitely, some of them are important enough they almost stand alone. There should be it should be addressed. Some of them not so much, but some of them definitely are important enough to talk on. And if you were giving me a rating on just those 5 major goals and that was it, I myself would want. I think I'd want more information as to where did you come to that assessment? If there's 14 different items, that you're looking at because of that.
Are we thinking like we've done in the past, where we just do it digital and we compile the information together?
I think it can work that way.
I would assume so. We can put them all together and then, yeah, sit down and go over it.
I
so.
like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if that,
I'm good with
we're
that.
in agreement, I like that a lot.
Yeah. What is the date as far as that we need to do that by, John? Do you know?
Mid-November.
Mid-November, okay. Very good. Anybody have any other questions on the evaluation piece?
So you would submit it to your direct reports and get their feedback?
Well, that's your choice. That's
I would
what was
assume we
done
would,
last
yes.
year, and that's why I'm saying if I think it worked well
Mm-hmm.
last year to do it that way, and that's fine.
Do you want names required so it's easier to track who has and who hasn't participated? I know we ran into that last year.
Yes. I think that would make it much easier.
For you, too.
Very good. If nobody has any other questions on that, moving on to the next item is the September 20th count day. This is for the student counts, I think.
I think we'll let...
Well, we just, if you look up for the attachment, we wanted to make sure we were comparing apples to apples. Count, there's a lot involved with that, especially since we're part of a co-op who provides specialized service to surrounding districts, and then also our title services. We do service Holy Family students for that. So what we see here are numbers from last September 20th, 2016, and those are our K-12 students, including Holy Family TMB, those students that we would receive funding for. And then compared to where we are this year, we're at 3047. So we're down a little bit, not a lot. We did expect to be down some, only because in the elementary grades, it seemed like, I don't know if you remember the last time I showed you the spreadsheet with the colored boxes, not many were red. So we had some movement in those elementary class levels, not one grade level in particular, but just across the district. So it's more so there than I said in middle school and high school.
So do those numbers include the virtual numbers?
Carrie sent me some because there's additional funding. It does include some of her
Okay.
the non-graded that we get
Right.
audited, we did add those in. What we don't have in these numbers either, so that you're looking at similar numbers, are some of the 4-year-old at-risk pre-K. So we talked about September 20th being the count day, but if there's students who aren't there on September 20th, they had to attend one day before and then one day after, up to October 4th. So we really have till October 4th for the count period to be documenting and looking at different weighted minutes and all the different categories. We will submit them to the state. I think SO 66 is due October 10th. So we'll be working on numbers until then, cleaning things up.
The significance of this number is because the state is going back to identifying this for our budget. This is what calculates it. Last couple years, no, that's not the case, but we're starting once again with this being very significant.
Very good. Any questions on the accounts?
So at this point, if the numbers don't fluctuate up much, how does this go with the projected budget that we get with the lesser number? What's the impact of that?
Well, for our size, the 23 is not, the 23 students is not going to be of that significance, but we're also using last year's numbers. So we're using the 3070 is what we're using this year. And next year, I know we need a little bit more information. I was with the understanding that we're going back to being able to have a choice of whether your current year or the past year, whichever is higher, Remember, there used to be 3 different choices. You could have current, you could have past, or you can have the average of the last 3 years. Now, I don't think they're including that average of the 3, but I do think there's still, and we'll find out for sure in the next month or so, but it's just a matter that year to year, it's important to, this number has significance. We do also recognize that there's going to be fluctuation. That's going to happen. And 23 for the size of our district and the other factors that's involved, just like Shanna said, it may not be 23. You know, it could be in the teens instead of 23 in just a few weeks. So.
Very good. Any other questions on that? Next item on the agenda is the KASB June 2017 policy recommendations.
I know this is the 3rd time it's been brought before you. The first time was overwhelming. The second time looked just like this. There's 4 pages, and the 4 pages really has not changed. But from our last meeting, there had been nobody who has shared any concerns or thoughts that should be changed. So I'm with the thought, unless there's any discussion on anyone that the board understands them. We do have work to do, especially with the wellness. You know, there's different things that do have to be done. We have to get those in place in the next weeks as soon as possible. But it appears that everybody's in agreement with it.
Very good. Next item on the agenda is negotiations.
That would be action.
Oops, I'm sorry. Yeah, I guess I forgot we went over that already. So I would entertain a motion to accept the policy recommendations for the KASB June 2017.
So moved.
Been moved by Board Member Waddell,
Second.
seconded by Board Member Fox. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Now we will move on to the next item, which is just an update on negotiations with the NEA and SEIU.
Right. I would say that for negotiations with NEA, we had completed really a good portion of that at the last meeting, but then it was opened up again to talk on health insurance, the details with it. So we're still in process and had a meeting even this afternoon, getting a few more steps towards that at this particular point. We do have another meeting next week, you know, to still work on that. And then SEIU, that one, although it was agreed upon, there was not a formal vote by the board at this point. So this evening, it's a matter of going to the minutes of past that identified it specifically and have the board vote on what we, you know, was agreed upon by the custodians as well as us. It was just a matter that it was not openly voted on at this point. The minutes, I did not pull them. Yes, we can. Someone get to them fast.
I'm not sure.
Special board meetings, never changed. Oh, no, it was the meeting before.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think.
It was the meeting before.
It was
It
on
was
the
after executive session.
September
11th.
Yeah, we came down, that's right.
It's on the 11th, right?
Yeah, it wasn't the special board meeting.
Yeah, it was after.
Yeah, because we came back down from exec session and actually made the
After
motion.
Executive session on the 11th.
On the 11th.
Yeah.
I think it's still down, yeah. There it is. I think
We
it's
have
almost
a
every
use motion here.
Yeah, there's the.
It's on 33.
Yeah, right there. Call the board meeting back to order.
And you need a motion to,
Just have the formal vote is what's needed for this.
Probably should read this.
Yes, it needs to be.
You gonna read it again, Luke?
I thought we voted on it. I can. Did we not vote on this?
I thought we voted.
I thought we voted on it.
Yes, it was voted on.
Yeah, it was voted on.
Seven.
Yeah.
So if they agreed, we've already agreed.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I thought we already agreed upon it.
Excuse me. I missed that, excuse me. I was thinking that that was still hanging.
There was, we voted, there was a vacation day increase. Wasn't there something that did come
They
in?
came back on the special board meeting.
Came back on the special board meeting, we did respond to that.
Excuse me.
That's
So
probably
we're all
what it is.
square?
According to the minutes, yes.
Okay.
That was our,
Yeah.
don't you think we need to do it again for any reason?
Okay.
Your memory?
I think Josh is right, that was because they were asked to come back by September 12th.
And that was when they made the motion, so we would need to vote to accept their new
I'm
one.
not sure you voted
We didn't vote to accept their new one, the counter proposal.
the counter.
Okay.
That was what it was.
And
Yeah, with
the
the,
counter proposal had two other items, and one ended up having that.
one
that-
was the insurance, health
And one
insurance
was the
committee,
day
and the other one
Christmas.
was adding December 29th,
Right.
2017 as a holiday.
Yes,
Yes, that's.
yes, that's it.
So we
We do need
So
do
that
need to
one
vote
we do need to vote, yes,
on those.
yes.
We need to accept their counter.
So we need to approve those two items, or
Yeah.
disapprove, whatever you want to do.
So,
What
let's
was
see
the first
here.
item again, Bill?
Pardon?
What was the first item?
The health insurance committee,
Okay, and then what was
and
the date
then
on the second?
adding December 29th, I believe that's a
2017.
Friday, 2017
That's
as a
specified.
holiday.
Okay. So I move to accept the counter proposal proposed by the SIE unit of, I just went blank on the first one again. Oh, the Health Insurance Committee and the additional vacation day, December 29th.
2017.
2017.
Okay. Been moved by Board Member Fox,
Second.
seconded by Board Member Lang. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Now we're good.
Okay. I feel much better, thank you.
No, there was a count. I do remember you right now. I was like,
We understand. That's right.
Next item on the agenda is an update on the health insurance.
The update is quite similar as far as our meetings at this point of trying to identify the details with the insurance and working with the teachers on that, which again, there was a meeting today and there'll be another one this next week. Plan on working through this week of trying to get details and share back and forth so that we can have as much of that information ironed out perhaps by the meeting next week.
Very good. Any questions on that? Okay. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Mike will be sending out some more information, so we'll make sure all the board has that as well. 'Cause I think,
Right.
Luke, you had asked a little bit too, so make sure everybody has that information, so in case we get questions or things like that.
Yeah, so that would be nice, because there are times when we are, you know.
Any of you that have it too, I think John or myself, one of us can get you his contact info too, in case there's things, just to make sure, in case you get a question, to make sure we can answer it, so.
That would be great. Great, thanks.
So,
Appreciate that.
Yeah. Okay, next item is discussion by board members and agenda requests. And it looks like we also have an update for the Fort Hays State University plan to assist Ellis County teachers to receive a master's degree.
I just put it on there as a reminder in the future. It will be on the agenda. It's kind of exciting. Hopefully get some more information from Fort Hays State University and be able to share that in October.
Very good. Anybody have any other agenda requests?
Yeah, this is, even though it's September, just want you all to know that there is the Hunchback of Notre Dame that's going to be performed by our wonderful music department with that. It'll be, not it is shameless advertising, November 10th and 11th, which are Friday and Saturday evenings, and then the 12th, Sunday matinee. And ticket sales, I had checked. Ticket sales will be coming out soon, but it's quite a production. It's such a large production that it exceeds the capacity over here. And if you've looked at any of the set, which I'm I'm saying I get to help build. So I'm really excited. You'll notice that it's big, but what's being built here is going to be moved to Beach Schmidt because they've got a 42-person, and if I'm wrong, I'm sure I'll hear about it, 42-person choir on stage during the performance.
Oh, wow.
So it's, I think it's probably bigger than what we've done, and hopefully as a parent volunteer helping move things, it would sure be nice if we had our own auditorium to do this, but please keep it in mind.
The production will actually be over there, but they're going to do all the rehearsals and practice and everything.
They're doing the rehearsals out at the high school. The problem is that the Beach Schmidt has, the venue size is better for this production because it's major. Again, looking there, you can see what they've been building on it. The problem is that they can't practice over there. They're practicing at the high school, and they only have a couple days of practice in there. But they've propped it up so that they can get the staging right and all that. So, and yeah, it's a very tight schedule. We get in and we get out. And as a parent, we have to set up and set up, tear down, and all the rest of it. Yeah, it looks to be a wonderful production, as they always seem to be. So we look forward to that.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Let us know if you would, when you hear when tickets come out.
What's that?
Let us know if you get an update on when tickets are.
Yeah, I'll probably get calls from people. Why didn't you say that?
Very good. Any other discussion or agenda requests? And
I know this is for the board, but may I share one other thing? It ends up being that one other item I should have shared was our meeting that our district leadership team went to a meeting last Friday in Salina, and we ended up working on, we're working with 4 other districts. It ends up being Great Bend, Salina, Junction City, and Emporia. So these 5 districts are going to work together and help one another in the process of developing our accreditation plans. Okay, we're going to work together on that. In that process, for instance, Shanna is the chairperson for Geary County Schools, Junction City. And one of the central office administrators there at Junction City is our chairperson. So in the process, though, as we met and talked, it's wonderful to hear other information, which is very stimulating to hear how they do things. And one item that just, because we're going through the facilities issue, one item that was very interesting was the item that dealt with boundaries with elementaries. And it was interesting how interested they were of us not having boundaries. You know, the issue of what complications exist when you have boundaries to elementaries. And they were, it was a very interesting discussion that I was able to have with several representatives from several of these districts of wishing that perhaps they had the same ability to do that. And part of it had to do with, because of just the location of town of where housing can be, which is good or bad, you can have schools that look completely different as far as their demographics from one location to another location. In our particular case, you may still see some of that, but not near like Emporia or Salina or Great Bend. It's really very interesting. I did not realize that even Salina ends up having a school that has 98% free and reduced. You know, and how is that possible? Because of the location that it's at, you know, within the town. So, it was just found it very interesting as far as boundaries or no boundaries for elementaries. I mean, how significant is that?
And it really highlighted things when DLR showed the actual map as well, that just showed the layout of those. So, very good. And I don't think we need exec session tonight. Okay. Anybody have anything else? Meeting's adjourned.